All right, welcome back, and we're very pleased that we're going to be starting a new segment. Now, it's new today, but the offer's always been there, and Councilman Darrin Guidry of the Terrebonne Parish Council took us up on the offer, and there you see Councilman Guidry. Welcome aboard. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Martin. I appreciate the opportunity to share what's going on in the legislative branch of government.
And what we've decided to do as a station is before every regular session of the council, we're going to come on, talk about the agenda, because a lot of people are wondering, like I'll look at it sometimes and go, well, what does that mean? What are they talking about? And there's never an explanation till you get to the council. So we decided this year, let's open it up. We got the news desk. We got people willing to come on and explain to the public what's taking place, and I look forward to Darrin and other council members coming up. The invitation's open to all. Just call us when you want to come on. We've always been like that. Got plenty of seats up here, so we could have you on here. But Darrin, let's start off just, first of all, congratulations on being elected chairman again.
Thank you, Martin. It was an honor, and I look at it as maybe a testament that maybe the people think I did a good job in the first year, and I think we did have a good year last year, and I'm looking forward to a great year this year.
Now, I don't want to talk about some of the things that we all know by now. Everybody's seen them. I want to move forward with this, but I do have to skate on the question that, and you realize it, you have a divided council, so it's your job really to try to unite and get everybody together. You have a plan on that? Well,
first of all, I think in order to unite the council, we have to separate emotions out of it. We're not you're not always going to win every vote, and the key is that if you lose a vote, you got to work on the next vote, because the key is people think a councilman is a very powerful position, but the truth is that unless you have 4 other council people so you can get 5 votes, or unless you have the support of the parish president, which is a factor in everything we get done in Terrebonne Parish. Unless you have one of those, you really don't have much power and can't get much done in your districts. And if you have both, if we can, get the council united and work together with the parish president, we can do really great things, and truly the best will be yet to come.
And we all know, and I've sort of talked to Eddie Palara about this for many years. He was involved in putting the home rule charter together. The home rule charter does give a lot of power to the parish president. We know that. But I think you make a good point. The parish presidents, despite anyone's thoughts that the parish president isn't always going to count votes and woo votes, that would be a political suicide, because every parish president I've covered, 8 of them, had their votes counted before the meeting. That's just political nature, isn't it?
It is, and the key is there's a fine line between working with the administration and yet being independent as a council, or being independent as a council and fighting administration. And nobody wants gridlock. Nobody wants the legislative branch to be fighting with the executive branch. We have enough of that in Washington, D.C. We don't need that in Terrebonne Parish. I mean, we need to work together. I think we've been working together this past year. I think our response to Hurricane Ida has been a result of us working together and getting things done. And I think we have a lot more coming, funding that we will be getting as a result of Hurricane Ida to help us build back. And I think we're going to invest in affordable housing, and I think we will also be able to invest in some infrastructure projects as a result of some of the funds that we'll be getting in community development block grants. But I mean, look what we've done already. We have our flood protection has improved so much in the last few years that you honestly couldn't have imagined having a major hurricane and not discussing flood damage and talking about wind damage.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's That's a good point. I would venture to say that anybody who has an agenda with any other politically elected person in this parish should probably throw flood protection out the window when you're using that against somebody, because I've been covering storms since 1985. I've never seen flood protection in this parish like we have now.
No doubt about it. And there's two types of flood protection. There's hurricane storm surge protection, and then there is rain. We had a lot of rain with Hurricane Ida. We got a lot of storm surge at the beginning and our levees held. Then the wind switched around and it was rain. So we've been able to balance that. I think as a government, we've been able to balance protecting residents from drainage, rainfall, and at the same time protecting from storm surge.
And as we close this segment, not to mention that, you know, Robinson Canal and all those areas were problematic because of the reversing winds, and Zeta and Ida proved that they had some flaws, but what you do with flaws, you correct them and you move forward. So I'm sure in the next 2 to 4 years that y'all are serving, that's going to be a major focus. We'll take a break right now. We'll come back with the council chair, Darrin Guidry. We're going to talk about the agenda coming up on Wednesday night's meeting.
The new year is here, and AJ Doman Chevrolet is happy to announce we are South Louisiana's newest business elite, medium duty, and commercial dealer. We are now taking orders for all business and fleet customers. Looking for a car or truck and can't find what you're looking for? Come see us. We have over 150 used cars in stock and new cars arriving daily.
And remember, no credit, bad credit, foreclosure, we can help.
AJ Doman Chevrolet at the foot of the Morgan City Bridge in Berwick.
There are many strengths in our cancer center. I think one of the biggest is patients don't have to go elsewhere to get technology for their diagnosis and treatment of their cancer. Our treatment machine, the linear accelerator, allows us to pinpoint and treat cancers with more accuracy than ever was possible before. Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center provides leading-edge technology with the highest quality care and the best treatment options unique to each patient.
And welcome back to Bayou Time. Martin Foss along with the council chair, Darrin Guidry. And we're going to be discussing some of the items that are coming up on Wednesday's full council meeting. And I must say it's refreshing because I have been covering the council meeting since 1985, and there have been some doozies. There's no doubt about it. But before we get into actually some things on the agenda, what is the role of the council chair? How do you see your role?
The primary role of a council chairman is to facilitate the meetings and allow them to flow to where there is a good balanced discussion, while at the same time the meetings don't get out of hand and you're not talking about things that aren't on our agenda or getting off into personal attacks and tangents. I worked hard on that last year. I work even harder on that, and that is the primary role of a chairman. We don't control the agenda. If a council person wants to put an item on the agenda, they can do so. The chairman doesn't say, I'm not going to have that item. And even if a chairman doesn't put an item on, 5 council members can make a motion that you add an item to the next agenda. So there's really no power in being a chairman, other than you can make sure that the discussion, it becomes a healthy discussion instead of one that turns into,
But there is power in the fact that you can have a fellow council person removed if they do not follow the agenda or the Roberts Rules of Order.
Well, we have approved Robert's Rules of Order as the standard in which we use for our meetings. And I mean, there's a book here that's 716 pages. And I probably know this, I'm probably the expert on our council. I can say that now that Miss Orlando Williams is not a council member, because Miss Orlando was the only one who probably knew this a little better than me at the time. And if you see, there's little tabs, and that's because, I'm constantly reading it and looking at it and making sure I follow this. And a lot of people, they don't understand the fact that we can't get into a discussion that we're just calling people names, and that does nothing to forward the positions that people have on an item.
Decorum.
Because if you're talking about people, then you're off subject. We need to be talking about what's on our agenda, why we support this, why we don't support this, what the people should know about this item. That's where we need to focus on, and that's where Robert Rules. In fact, Robert Rules says when a question is pending, a member can condemn the nature or likely consequences of a proposed measure in strong terms, but he must avoid personalities, and under no circumstances can he attack or question a person's motives for what they do. So if somebody doesn't support you, you can't say, you're not supporting me because nobody knows a person's motives.
Right.
And that's not, person's motive is not the item on discussion.
You may be getting into slanderous territory.
And that's what we have to watch out for, because, there slips out some people slip out some things at our council meeting before I have a chance to shut it down. And a council member can leave themselves liable to a lawsuit.
They do that quite well. Look, I've seen that in every meeting. It's not just you. Trust me. Let's go to the agenda. Councilman John Amedee, discussion and possible action regarding parliamentary procedure and procedural rules.
I think this is a great item that Councilman John Amedee wanted to add. And actually, this was supposed to be under Councilman request discussion of at the end of the agenda. And I asked our staff to put it at the very beginning, because I think it's very important. And I think we're looking at, Mr. Amedee's looking at getting out of this perhaps a motion to have a class that everybody could sit in on Robert's Rules of Order and the proper procedure at meetings, just so everybody is on the same page and understand what is allowed and what's not allowed, and where you can get yourself in trouble by saying the wrong things at meetings.
I thought they did that. I thought the DA's office, Mr. Waits, and I know Mr. DeGate, Jason DeGate, I think Jimmy, when he was living, had classes on that. Has that ceased?
I think Mr. Jimmy used to have classes on ethics and the do's and don'ts as far as being an elected official. And we do that now through the Police Jury Association, and there also is online courses for people that are in, our employees have to take it as well. Anytime you're in the public realm, and you have to do that every year. It's a 1-hour course every year. And now that the state has these programs, we don't need to do one locally like Mr. Jimmy used to do, but he used to do a great job in teaching ethics, the do's and don'ts, and also public bid laws. A lot of people don't understand public bid laws. And, that's a whole segment in itself.
Yeah. What we'll continue to go down the agenda with the council chair, Darrin Guidry. And just, once again, this is designed so you can see these telecasts and also on social media, and you'll know what they're talking about on Wednesday. So to give you a little bit of backstory on what's actually going to be voted on and why they're doing it. If it's a good thing, if it's controversial, you can sort of watch these segments and find out. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll get to item B, which would be Councilman Gerald Michel, discussion and possible action related to the process of council members getting information from administration through the public records request process. We'll be right back.
Order a new Lincoln and get paid. That's right. At Terrebonne Lincoln, when you order a new Lincoln, you'll get $1,000 in order bonus cash. It's a great deal. You configure the new Lincoln you want, from color to trim to options, and Lincoln gives you $1,000 in order bonus cash. Plus, your new Lincoln will get priority in the building process. And that's right, you get $1,000 order bonus cash. Come see us at Terrebonne Lincoln in Houma.
Broussard Dove handles business and residential hurricane claims. We have over 14 years experience dealing with insurance claims for hurricanes with proven results. We handled hurricane claims before Hurricane Ida and will be here for years to come after. We've recovered millions for business owners and homeowners. So if you need help with your hurricane claim, let us fight for you. Go to our website and fill out a form for a free claim review or give us a call. Broussard Dove, attorneys at law.
All right, welcome back. We're talking about the agenda. We're talking about procedure with the council chair, Darrin Guidry. Darrin, before we get to item B, which I promised on the last segment, in Robert's Rules of Order, I go back to the fact that the chair has pretty good power that if somebody is saying specific words, you can shut them down, can't you?
If the decorum is against procedure in Robert's rules, not only can you shut them down, but you must. Like, say, for instance, according to Robert's Rules of Order, and I read this, that the moment the chair hears words such as fraud, liar, and liar used by a member in debate, he must act immediately and decisively to correct the matter and prevent its repetition. So we can't have a member saying another member is a liar, or there's fraud or anything like that, attacking a member, or really anybody in our staff.
You said the word must, not
Must.
shall, not may. Must means, and I would assume, correct me if I'm wrong, Robert's Rules of Order are to stop a public body from getting involved in so much name calling that it's going to lead to a libel and slander lawsuit.
Well, I think it is that as much as you're taking away from the debate on the issue when you're taking off point in talking about individuals. Now, I know people hear council people say point of order at a meeting. Now, what a point of order is basically a council member saying, Mr. Chairman, you're not following procedure. This is not right. This needs to stop. And even in, Robert's Rules of Order says, although the chairman has the responsibility of enforcing the rules, any member who believes he has noticed a case where the chair is failing to do so can, at the time the breach occurs, call it to attention by making a point of order. The effect is to require the chair to make a ruling on the point of order.
Which is an interesting thing, because for the first time in my career, I saw the parish president call for a point of order, and I know you probably researched it. What's the specifics on that if the parish president calls for it, then a council person would have to call for a point of order to counter that?
Well, I think a lot of people don't understand that, we're the legislative branch, and the parish president is actually not part of our legislative branch, but he is at our meetings because our charter says that the parish president or his designee must be at our meetings.
It must.
So he's at our meetings, but technically, calling a point of order, I know we all get emotional, and you may even have a person in the audience yell out point of order. Yeah. But I know at our last meeting, we had, I think, our vice chair, Jessica Domain, called a point of order early. And I allowed some things to go on at our meeting a little longer, a little after that, and I really should have shut that down when Ms. Jessica Domain said point of order. But then it led to other people saying point of order, and that's probably what you're talking about. Then eventually our parish president said point of order, and it just got completely out of hand, and I had to shut it down.
But you're an old newspaper guy. You want to hear the story sometimes, so I guess you're going to have to refine the quickness that you hit the button.
Well, it's a balance because, I have to work with all these council members, and I don't want a council member getting mad at me because I'm shutting their mic off.
Right.
So, I try to let them, but yet I got to follow the rules or I'm not doing my job as a council chair.
Give them enough rope, but don't let them hang themselves, I guess, and that's the gray area.
That's the gray area, but the key is if you keep it on point, then we can work together and we can actually accomplish things as a legislative branch. Our meetings can last 2 hours instead of 4.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's go to item B, Councilman Gerald Michel, discussion and possible action related to the process of council members getting information from administration through the public records request process. We do that in the media all the time. We make, Mort Black's in charge of that. We make a request, we send it. But he's talking about the council.
Well, this particular item has no backup in our agenda, so we as council members are going in dark. Now, I did place a call for Mr. Michel, and I haven't gotten a call back to ask him about this particular item. What I assume is the fact that there was a procedure put into place, I guess, a couple of years ago to where council members that want records from staff and administration must fill out a public records request. And there, I think, are some who believe that council members we should be able to go to staff and just say, give us copies of this, or we want this, or we want that. And I guess it's a way somebody who maybe doesn't like somebody who is in charge and doesn't want the person in charge to know that they're requesting documents. It's a way for that person to get a document without anybody knowing. But why not let everybody know? I mean, we should have a record of everybody requesting documents.
It creates a paper trail.
It does.
Which we're big in this business over here. When you have a paper trail, then you could go back and see the exact thing. And I believe nobody in public service should hide from anything that they're trying to get. You obviously are trying to get it for a certain reason. But to be fair with Mr. Michel, we'll see at the meeting exactly what his motivation is at. It might be something we're totally not talking about, so I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Right.
All right, we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back with other programming, but tune in to Bayou Time. We come on certain times, normally even numbered hours. We come back, we're going to have some more series with the council chair, Darrin Guidry. So we want to make sure we get a lot of segments taped so you can understand. They'll shorten up once we have that relationship with Mr. Guidry and we get these first ones out, but we want to get it all in. So be tuning in and get those proper times right here on Bayou Time.
Welcome back. We've missed you. We know it's been tough. Because rebuilding your business isn't for the faint of heart. Your business needs a jump start. And we're here to help. Introducing Surge, symmetrical speed fiber internet from eTel Business. Revved up data speeds at 30% off, plus 3 months free. We're glad you're back, and we're here to make your business surge.
Get $2,000 bonus cash when you order a new F-150 at Terrebonne Ford. Why search all over for the truck you kinda like when you could design the new F-150 you really want? You choose the color, trim, and options you want and get $2,000 order bonus cash. Plus, your new F-150 will get priority in the building process. And get $2,000 order bonus cash. Come see us at Terrebonne Ford in Houma.
All right, welcome back. Once again, joined by the council chair of the Terrebonne Parish Council, Darrin Guidry. He's on his second term as council chairman. And one of the things that I guess I've been privy to covering these meetings since '85, it's always a point of contention or controversy when we get to the parish attorney, the hiring of the parish attorney. And let's face it, to the victor goes the spoils. I've always said that. So when the parish president wins, home rule charter covers a lot of things, he picks his parish attorney. Now naturally, I've always said, the parish attorney is not going to be someone who the parish president cannot trust. Because what's the point? You wouldn't hire an attorney you can't trust. I wouldn't hire an attorney we can't trust. So then it becomes political because we got the council who has different powers than the parish president. So the parish attorney is always brought up in the fray of things, and it normally stems from a decision that was made that some of the council people don't like. Let's just cut through the chase. So it's always a tough deal. But where do y'all stand now with the parish attorney, and how's it look? Jill Zaber, by the way, is the parish attorney.
First, I want people to understand that Terrebonne Parish is different from Lafourche Parish in the fact that Lafourche Parish allows them to appoint a parish attorney. But that attorney is not a part of administration. We actually, in our charter, say that we will have a person designated as parish attorney, and all legal will go through that person, and it will be a department head. So that person becomes head of our legal department.
And y'all ratified.
Correct. So so the parish president nominates, and the council ratifies. Now, what is the importance of a parish attorney from the legislative branch? When we do things or want to do things or have a question, we ask our parish attorney, and he gives us an opinion, just like an attorney general's opinion, but it's our local parish attorney's opinion. Now, if a council person doesn't like the opinion that our legal counsel gives to them, or if it's not in their favor, sometimes they'll get upset at the parish attorney and think the parish attorney is wrong. Now, I can't allow at a council meeting, I can't allow a councilman who is not an attorney to attack our attorney by saying you're wrong. In essence, you're attacking the professional competency of our attorney. Now, what you can do is you can make a motion that the council ask the attorney general for a second opinion.
That's correct.
Excuse me, and that's the path to go. Not to verbally condemn at a meeting our parish attorney. So
unless that council person would be an attorney, that would be just like me or you saying that a doctor's opinion on COVID is nonsense when we have no idea how to treat COVID.
Correct. And in that case, of course, the attorney would not just be attacking the decision of our parish attorney, but he would be presenting a case law to the council.
So hence, is this the decision that if anybody has anything on this agenda to say about the rehiring of Mr. Julius Hebert, that you would go in executive session to protect it from getting into a slanderous situation?
Well, you know, I have to, as a chairman, and because we have a divided council, I have to try to guess what might happen at a meeting. And so I'm assuming if a council member is not happy because of an opinion that maybe Mr. Hebert said, I don't want to get into the territory where they're questioning professional competence in an open meeting and getting into a slanderous or a defamation type of situation. So I put on the agenda, and if you notice, it says, if necessary. So if the discussion starts getting into that area, then the council can choose to go into executive session so people could speak freely and not have to worry about that. In an executive session, you can say whatever you want. So people can do opinions, even though their opinions are wrong. You know, they can share the way they feel, and that might influence a council member's decision. So they can actually say things they couldn't say in a public realm. Yeah. And the council may decide to do that, but it takes it takes a supermajority of the council to go into executive session. In all likelihood, we won't. If I was a betting man, I'd say, you know, but it's there. So if the discussion starts going in that area, the council can choose not to. Now, if the council wants to talk it in an open session, as long as it doesn't violate Robert's Rules of Order.
So you got to have 6 votes.
You got to have 6 votes in order to go into an executive session.
Okay. Now, what's your role once you're in executive session and you come out? We in the media, we always want to know. The public wants to know. So you come out and you got the duty of saying, what the hell just went on in the executive session? Are you obligated to say?
No, actually, you can't say what happens in an executive session.
You break a Louisiana law, don't you?
Correct. Now, executive session is discussion only. You cannot make a decision in executive session. You have to come out and you have to make a decision. Most executive sessions happen around lawsuits that the parish has and things that we can't give out because of a pending lawsuit. Now, in that case, some of the stuff that goes on in executive session becomes public after the lawsuit's over. But
Right.
you can't, at that time, say it. Or if you have any accusations against somebody and it's an employee matter, then the council can go into executive session to discuss the character or competence of an employee.
All right. Well said. We'll take a break. We'll come right back. More with Darrin Guidry, the council chair, Terrebonne Parish Council, in a short.
Conquer the cold this winter with a hot deal from Barker Kia. Get 1.9% financing for 60 months on 3 of our most popular models. The 2022 Kia K5, Sorrento, and Telluride at Barker Kia in Homa, or shop online at barkerkia.com.
Sunrise in the blue skies, birds flying through paradise. A little bit longer, another day stronger. Somebody smiling down on me with those warm days and cooler nights. Friends and family and candlelight. Feels like I've been running, but something better's coming. Don't wanna have to wait and see. This feels like home. Feels like home.
Conquer the cold this winter with a hot deal from Barker Kia. Get 1.9% financing for 60 months on 3 of our most popular models. The 2022 Kia K5, Sorrento, and Telluride at Barker Kia in Homa, or shop online at barkerkia.com.
All right, welcome back as we continue to discuss and try to educate you on the council and their role here in the parish. And with us once again is the chairman of the Terrebonne Parish Council, Darrin Guidry. And we talk about, we see the full body meetings on Wednesday. You're here prior to that. But the committee meetings that take place are super important also. And there's a lot of lobbying sometimes that goes on for these committees. They're powerful committees. Let's face it, they could be used to move forward and very progressively, or they could be used politically. We've all seen that in the past. Explain the committee. How do you get them? How do you appoint them? And how much politicking goes into getting them?
Well, we have some standing committees, and of course the chairman can create ad hoc committees if necessary. A committee really has no true power. They can only make recommendations to the council. It's a little confusing because our Mondays before council meetings are committee days, and we have all of our committee meetings. And the committee meetings on Monday are committees of the whole, which means they're all the council members. And people think that that's a council meeting, but it really isn't. It's a committee. And so even though it's the entire council, we really get into the details of a lot of the inner workings of government, and they're actually a little longer than perhaps council meetings are on that day, but all they do is the committee makes recommendations on that Wednesday to the council. So you ought to almost pretend the committee is made up of people who are not council members. And they have different chairs, and there's slightly different rules than a committee. They don't have to follow the home rule charter and the way it operates, like how voting takes place and such. But if we're introducing an ordinance and we introduce it at a committee, we're technically not introducing the ordinance until Wednesday, when the full council accepts the minutes of the committee. When we're accepting the report of the committee chair, we're actually accepting all the recommendations of that committee.
You're laying the groundwork, and then on Wednesday,
right,
it becomes it gets ratified.
And what's important to the resident is if you see something or read something that happens at our committee on Monday, it's not final. You can come to our Wednesday meeting and you can say, I don't think we should do that. The council doesn't have to approve that item when they're approving the minutes of the committee meeting. So it's not, so the Monday committee is not the end all. We can take up the matter and rediscuss it on Wednesday, because Wednesday's technically the council.
For most public things, you got to hold it over for 2 weeks too, so that the public has a chance to come and speak, right?
If it's an ordinance,
Right.
then when we accept the committee report on the Wednesday, it actually calls a public hearing in 2 weeks.
Right.
Now, you mentioned the committee chairs. Some of the committee chairs are involved with staff on certain things. Like if you're in the policy procedure committee, you're involved when we choose insurance for the parish and certain policy procedure things. They'll include that chair in the discussion. If you're budget and finance, they'll include that chair in some of the budget discussions. So yeah, you know,
But you're limited in your committees, and really as a council person, parish president's limited too, because there's some things he could hire professionally that he could just sign. But there's other things that either you go into a committee or you go into bid. So the power is in the bid, not actually in what your decision is, because you got to abide by the law.
Right. I mean, there are limits. And of course, the council chair appoints the chairman of the committees. And I will say that I offer every single member, all 9 members were offered either a committee chair or a vice chair in all the committees. A couple of them, didn't want it, either for various reasons. Some of them just wanted to let other people get it. And some of them just didn't want a committee because they're mad at me or whatever the case may be. But everybody was offered committees, and I try to put people in the committees that I think their most strength, the most interests lie. Like Mr. John Amity is in charge of our Public Works, Public Services Committee, and I know flooding is a major issue in the Shreveport Gray area, and so I think that might help him in some of the goals that he's trying to do. So, a few things like that. I offered some people the community development and planning, because that's a recreation. So I offered it to a chairman who recreation was important to that chairman. So I try to put people where their strengths are.
So the chairman, which you are now, or chairwoman, whoever it may be at different time, is really an air traffic controller.
In a lot of ways, yes. And
with a lot of rules.
Well, the key is you need a chairman who can make everybody work together, who's not going to get into the emotions of it. Some people call it politics. I call it emotions. You got to make decisions, though, as a business decision. You got to separate the emotions and say, is this good, right for Terrebonne Parish? And I'm going to try to see to it that we work together, and I know my vice chair, Miss Jessica Domain, feels the same way. And
you're going to be a tiebreaker a lot of times, huh?
Well, actually, the chairman is a voting member according to our charter. So whereas Robert's rules may say that you vote in case of a tie, it does say
well, no,
that
you could vote, but of course you're weighing out both sides. It's a tough position to be in, so
no doubt.
Good luck with that for sure. All right, we'll come back and wrap things up with the chairman, Darrin Guidry. Don't go away.
The new year is here, and AJ Doman Chevrolet is happy to announce we are South Louisiana's newest business elite, medium duty, and commercial dealer. We are now taking orders for all business and fleet customers. Looking for a car or truck and can't find what you're looking for? Come see us. We have over 150 used cars in stock, and new cars arriving daily.
And remember, no credit, bad credit, foreclosure, we can help.
AJ Doman Chevrolet at the foot of the Morgan City Bridge in Berwick.
There are many strengths in our cancer center. I think one of the biggest is patients don't have to go elsewhere to get technology for their diagnosis and treatment of their cancer. Our treatment machine, the linear accelerator, allows us to pinpoint and treat cancers with more accuracy than ever was possible before. Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center provides leading-edge technology with the highest quality care and the best treatment options unique to each patient.
All right, welcome back. Our last segment with the chair of the Terrebonne Parish Council, Darrin Guidry. Once again, this program, these segments are designed to get elected officials on the desk here to talk about things we've always offered. Council Chair Guidry accepted. He's here, and it's a good thing. He can tell you about the agendas and what's coming up. On this particular meeting, Mr. Chair, I see vacancies to various boards, committees, and commissions. Sometimes those get buried, but they're very important, aren't they?
Well, one of the jobs that the legislative branch is charged with is appointing people to all the various boards that we have. We appoint those and we control the people that serve on them, and our goal is to make sure that they're the best possible. Now, with that said, it's oftentimes hard to get people to apply for these positions, qualified people. And we announce, at every one of our meetings, we announce all of the openings that we're accepting, we're accepting people. And I would like to use these. I know we're gonna do these the Mondays that we have council meetings. And I'd like to use those to also kind of give people an idea of what is open, so that way you can apply for the positions. But I know right now we have a Veterans Memorial District has an opening. We have some recreation districts, 3A, 6, and 7. The Bayou Blue Fire Protection District has an opening, as well as the Bayou Cane Fire District. The Coteau Fire Protection Board has an opening, Fire District 8, as well as the Tree Board, the Coastal Zoning Management and Restoration Board. The Homa Housing Authority has an opening, and the Homa Board of Adjustments has an opening. And that's a pretty important committee, because if something's outside of our zoning guidelines, they must apply for a variance, and those variances are approved by the Homa Board of Adjustments. And so it's important that we have the right people on there to give these variances. So if you're interested in any of those positions, please contact our council staff and apply for these positions, or ask them how to apply.
I want to imagine, in closing with about 4 minutes left, that this first meeting is just going to be sort of, for lack of a better word, just you as the chair sort of getting control of the council and making sure everybody knows, hey, we're going to follow these rules. We're going to stay in line. If anybody has any qualms with anybody else, do it the old-fashioned way. Take it in a back room, let them two discuss it, come out. But, I learned so many years from, God, and Mr. Bubby Lyons was a great example. And I started with him. And what a great person to break in, a fledgling reporter than Bubby Lyons, when I watched him, and I watched the tension at these meetings, but I watched the statesman way that he handled things. And you could never look. The backstory that I knew years later was the attorneys would later tell me, when we could talk about it years later, that in those meeting rooms, it got pretty hostile. People were going at each other. But when they walked out and they sat on that public podium, you could never tell. I think that's a pretty good way to look at things, isn't it?
You got to work together. No matter how you feel personally about an individual, you always have the next vote, and you need 5 votes. And so you should always be focused on the future, not on something that happened in the past. And that's how to get things done for your district, because that's what we're elected to do. We're not elected, they don't elect us to go in and fight other council people or to fight administration. They elect us because, hey, they want to make sure their house doesn't drain, that their house doesn't flood. They want to make sure that their road is not all broken up, which is something we need to, we're concentrating on these next few years, is spending a lot of money in roads and road panels. They want to make sure their garbage is picked up.
I think people, especially after Hurricane Ida, want to see the quorum or the majority of council members fighting passionately about their homes and their insurance and not fighting with each other. And I think that's what they really want to see.
That's it. You know, what we should be fighting for is, you know, not whether somebody voted for me or not in a last meeting. They should be fighting for, you know, we need to dredge Bayou Terrebonne. You know, that's a big issue, and we're finally doing that in the next 3 or 4 months. Bayou Terrebonne is not in my district, but it affects my district. Because guess what? If Bayou Cane can't drain down Bayou Terrebonne, it's going to drain down Little Bayou Black, and that affects my district. So that shows you how all the council members' districts affect each other. You know, so if a councilman is doing something...
I'm okay with the politics of, all right, Darrin, I need you to vote in this project for my drainage district because we need it, and in return, I'm going to give you my vote on that. And people go, well, that's ransom. No, that's politics. It works like that a lot, and you could say it better than some people say it, but it's politics at the end of the day.
Well, in the long run, as long as everything is in the benefit of
the whole parish,
your constituents. Now, when you're talking about those type of things, it tends to be funding, because if there's drainage funding, it's going to drain. It's going to fund several projects that are important to Terrebonne Parish, and council people want their project,
which will be a whole nother segment.
But
I do appreciate you coming by, and I look forward to having these discussions with you and others prior to the meetings. It does give us a good insight, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me.
All right, there you have it. All right, Darrin Guidry, the council chair, and the offer's good for Lafourche too. Hey, we're not that far away. Come take a visit. We'll be right back.